My name is Ginny, also known as 2/3 Lotus, everywhere on the internet. This clip is part of my series, The Poets of Twitch, where I analyze my viewers' writing live on stream. Nothing has been edited out, so you're seeing this exactly as streamed with all of the imperfections and tangents that come with being live. If you want to catch me live or want more information, check out the description. Otherwise, enjoy some excellent writing.
Okay. Poem. Yet another love poem by Mae7ari. Love is fickle. Sometimes the word is too dull, not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything. And that's when you know you were never in love. Other times, love is bright like a firecracker. The time ends up passing by a blur, and you end up with a partner rather than an acquaintance. I guess this dance is for us, says one in particular. And yet other times it's quiet but meaningful, a relation of peace and quiet yet blissful. It's not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. It's merely a companionship that will test time. But who is to say these are the only types of love? You could love your daughter or son. You could be loved by friends, family, even strangers. And even if you're not loved by many, it's all right with you. Love is fickle. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes quiet, sometimes dull, sometimes it's friendship, sometimes it's your family. But regardless, love is universal. Treasure it. Very nice. You said, it's a pretty universal poem, but I'd like you to look for the nuance of the work, because my father taught me about nuance, and I think it's important, plus cool. Besides that, the question I'd like to think about is, what is love according to people? Yeah. And then you said, hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'm not the best at poetry, XD. That's okay. What? Like, a good poem, a bad poem. I mean, that's sort of like nonsense to me. It's a poem, and it's a poem that was written by someone, and it's a poem I'm gonna read, so... as far as I'm concerned, I have like something beautiful and genuine in front of me. And nuance. Nuance is an excellent thing to talk about, and I think there are ways that I see already that this poem is nuanced, and somewhere it can indeed be more nuanced. So maybe we can look at the poem through a lens today of nuance. That could work. We're going to read it again before I write too much more. Do I know Vimes Boots' theory of economy? No, I don't. I don't really know economic theory much at all. Good intentions turned into donkey liver. That's so real. That's how it happens, right? So here's it again. You get another love poem. Love is fickle. Sometimes the word is too dull, not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything. And that's when you know you were never in love. Other times love is bright like a firecracker. The time ends up passing by, a blur. And you end up with a partner rather than an acquaintance. I guess this dance is for us, says one in particular. And yet other times it's quiet but meaningful, a relation of peace, and quiet yet blissful. It's not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. It's merely a companionship that will test time. But who is to say these are the only types of love? You could love your daughter or son. You could be loved by your friends, family, even strangers. And even if you're not loved by many, it's all right with you. Love is fickle. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes dull. Sometimes it's friendships, sometimes it's your family. But regardless, love is universal. Treasure it. So, nuance. What does nuance mean? Someone tell me what nuance means. Class, what is nuance? In your words or from the internet, defined. Tell us, someone, what is nuance? This thing that we are interested in talking about. A carp jumps over the dragon gate. Not exactly what I was looking for. But proverbs are often nuanced. There is certainly nuance in proverbs. Nuance. What is nuance, y'all? Anyone. You can just grab the definition for all I care. No takers? No takers. Oh, nuance is taking a careful and considered opinion, comma, particularly taking something. Continued. In account different viewpoints. Okay. Yeah. Nuance is taking a careful and considered opinion, particularly taking into account different viewpoints. So, careful, considered, and through multiple viewpoints. This is good. Careful, considered, and viewpoints. Dictionaries are for the weak. Yeah, oh, that's just you defining. Very nice. I think this is a good start at what nuance is. And we can start with this as our definition, maybe expand it as we go. So, this is called Yet Another Love Poem. We also have to think, what does it mean to be careful within poetry, to be considered, and to account for viewpoints? Love is fickle. Sometimes the word is too dull. Not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything. And that's when you know you were never in love. So, a few thoughts. If we're talking purely through this multiple viewpoint, careful and considered definition, I actually quite like this second line. Sometimes the word is too dull. It's an interesting and also sort of subversive viewpoints way to start yet another love poem, right? It says sometimes love is too dull, which is taking an interesting approach toward love. The viewer is going to look at a love poem and say, oh, maybe we're going to talk about love and actually like all the fiery, firecracker, deep, meaningful stuff, and it starts with dull. Now, the title also has a feeling of sort of sarcasm to it. Yet another love poem, because many poems about love. So yet another one. This is just going to be sort of... It almost implies that we're going to do something slightly different here from your regular love poem. Now, line 1, love is fickle. It's true. It's considered. But something... How would I describe nuance in a poetic sense? This is very true of statement. All of these things. Being careful, being considered, having all these viewpoints. But nuance in a poem, I think, goes beyond some of this. Nuance I think there's an elegance, a mystique, that is part of nuance. Nuance needs discernment. What does discernment mean in this sense, Stylish Phil? And something like love is fickle. I mean, it's a fairly like straightforward, blunt statement, and I would say in some ways like nuance and bluntness are probably slightly opposing forces. But going forward, not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything, and that's when you know you were never in love. Yeah. Okay. So nuance. Okay. I think nuance is not just saying multiple viewpoints, let's say. I mean, here we have love can be dull and not suitable. Love can be bright. Love can be slow and meaningful. Love has all these other types too. And there's a nuance to this as a definition of love. Like, love is a nuanced thing with many different aspects and connections. But I think for poetry to exude nuance is a different thing. And I think that involves giving the reader some agency. And I think a nuanced poem usually doesn't tell the reader something is, something never was. Love is bright. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's never this. I don't think it gives the reader space. Nuance needs discernment to make good assessments to see what works and what doesn't very exactly. That doesn't elaborate for me, Stylish Phil. And maybe nuance in this context definition is what ambiguous. So that's an issue. And that's why I asked multiple people, and you were the only one who responded. But yeah, nuance is a very vague term, because nuance, I think a poem that says love is a firecracker and is like one thing is not necessarily as nuanced as an idea, because a nuanced idea is one that covers all the grounds and helps us understand broadly what something means. It covers all the bases. It's very encompassing, at least by Stylish Phil's definition. And if other people have other definitions of nuance, then I'd be happy to hear them. But that is different from a nuanced poem. A nuanced poem does not encompass, and it does not say everything. Tiny Nuggy, you hydrate. I will hydrate. So a nuanced poem doesn't say everything. And this is the important distinction. I think a nuanced poem, if I were to call a poem nuanced, it would show me beautiful ideas in a unique, unexpected, and fulfilling way. And that's like a horrible definition, but it's a start. It's fulfilling, it's sort of unique, unexpected. This is more what looks like poetic nuance to me. Which actually, in an odd way, makes these two things deeply opposed to each other. For example, I think a poem that says, love is too dull. It is not worth much of anything. Like, I was never in love, I never will be. This sort of single idea can almost be approached as more of a nuanced poem, even though it's a much less nuanced idea. Better yet, love is a firecracker. This is a first line. Gives me more fulfillment than sort of like a very universal truth. Love is fickle. Because, like, yeah, love is fickle. But I think I want a poem to tell me something new and tell me something that opposes my ideas, do it in an interesting way, and challenge me. And I think this is what most poems are expected to do. Not sure. I'm being very critical. It's not. I'm being too critical. Other times, love is bright like a firecracker. The time ends up passing by like a blur, and you end up with a partner rather than acquaintance. I like this line a lot. I guess this dance is for us. Because you have this double meaning of partner, from like a romantic partner, but then also a partner for a dance. It's kind of very cute. You get that blur. There's an image to this. At other times it's quiet but meaningful, a relation of peace and quiet, yet blissful. Not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. It's a companionship that will test time. I'm like loading. We read a poem a few streams ago by Tiny Nuggy, who is in chat right now. She talked about time. I think it's actually a very similar poem to this one. And Tiny Nuggy wrote, like, we're gonna go to it. Time is hero and villain. Time brings and takes. Flowers bloom. Like, it's this idea that life is like good and bad depending on how you view it. Time is a beginning and an end. Which is a nuanced idea of love. It encompasses the entire idea of love. But I think it does the same thing as this poem, where it doesn't tell me anything beyond like a fact about what is. Like, I think I know that love is sometimes dull, and, well, maybe we call dull things love. Sometimes it's a firecracker. Sometimes it lasts a long time. There's also other kinds of love, and it has all these different like aspects to it, and yeah, it's universal and we should treasure it. Like, lovely as a message. True. I don't think anyone would disagree with this poem. You know? And I don't think we should set out to write agreeable poems, maybe? High caliber. You've redeemed the redeem where I time you out for 5 minutes. Because you've been bad. I will do that. At high caliber. You've been bad and you have timeout now, high caliber. Bye-bye. Oh, I tried to time out a user that doesn't exist. Now I have to do it again. And we have the poem up. / timeout. Oh, it's username then duration. Annoying. At high caliber 300. Okay. Do I need a space? I probably need a space. I'm so struggling. Bye. So this poem. Yet at other times it's quiet and meaningful. This is like the true love, the love of two people who've been married for a long time, a relationship of peace and quiet and bliss, and two old people in rocking chairs. Beautiful. It's a beautiful image. Not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. True. It's merely a companionship that will test time. See, one of my favorite parts of this poem so far, it's merely a companionship that will test time. And I find this fascinating. What do I find fascinating? Chat asks. That it is merely a companionship. Mere. Oh, it's merely a small thing. It is not that important. Mere implies a smallness and an insignificance. It is merely a companionship that will test time. Perhaps testing time, something so difficult to do and something so powerful. This interests me. It interests me that the poem says merely a companionship that will test time, because this is a potentially disagreeable, this is a dramatic statement. Why is this merely, and you don't merely end up with a partner rather than an acquaintance? Like it's mere in comparison to the firecracker on an aesthetic level. But it's vastly different. Vastly different. And of a scope that the firecracker cannot understand. Like, I'd love to see these two things tensioned against each other. A firecracker, something so bright and so immediately beautiful and powerful, looking at something merely something that will test time and last for your entire life. The firecracker says, oh, the relationship that tests time is dumb because it's not bright and exciting, and the ones who do not test time look at that sparks and Disney magic and say that's nothing because we test time. Like that's a great tension and one I want to hear more of. And that's not necessarily by saying that it is this thing and it is this thing. Like, there's no tension, there's no opposition in this poem. You speak to these things, it is not a matter, it's merely, like, it's stated. It's stated forwardly. And I'd rather see someone feeling the tension, seeing the firecracker and its beauty, and yet also yearning for the slow companionship, or feeling the companionship and losing that firecracker of before and wanting that back. Like, these are human realities, because realistically no human gets to have the firecracker and the testing of time and the dull love and the daughter and the son and the friends and the family and the strangers. This poem speaks to everybody, but because it speaks to everybody, it speaks directly to nobody. And a nuanced idea is excellent because it can speak to everyone and it can apply to everyone like a proverb. It's nuanced because it's a lesson for all. But a poem, when I read a poem, I want something that can make me feel. Like, I think poetry is probably a very selfish art. Reading it, I want to feel something. Writing it, I want to make someone feel something. And it just has to be one person. But the paradoxical thing is if you try to speak to everyone, you speak to nobody. And that's the issue we're running into here, and maybe with like the poem more recently. But like the ideas are clearly here. The tension of the firecracker and the magic and the companionship and the bliss. These are things that are interesting. And then the fact that love can be nothing at all. You know, watching a descent from I love you to it becoming a meaningless word and then questioning, was it ever meaningful at all? Because, and that's when you know you were never in love, I think is actually like a very divisive statement. So many people tell you that they were in love and they fell out of love. And this says, though, that the word is dull, but at one point we said we were in love, so some people would say, yeah, love can change and it can be there and then it can be not. This is almost similar to this idea, but they're presented in different stanzas as different ideas, and it's presented as, and that's when you know you were never in love. Like, for some people, that's not the case. Which is odd. Like the poem is trying to do multiple things. The poem is trying to do too much, probably. But who is to say these are the only types of love? This line is excellent as for a poem. This connects deeply to the title, yet another love poem. And we think, oh, it's going to be romantic. It's going to be a sonnet from Romeo to Juliet, bad love story, we know, or whoever to whoever, or Bukowski to his dead wife. Romance, passion. Who is to say these are only types of love? In love, your daughter or your son, all of these things. Like, yes, you can, but don't just tell me that. Write a poem, a love poem, for your child. Write a love poem for your friend. And then try to do so without making it romantic. And then write a love poem for your friend that is romantic but isn't romantic. And then write a love poem for a stranger. I've done that before. One of my favorite love poems is for a stranger. But don't just tell me it can be. Like, show me that it is. And that's exciting then. And even if you're not beloved by many, it's all right with you. Like, this could be a poem in itself. A love poem about not needing love and being okay in one's solitude. Like, that sounds gorgeous. It's not nuanced as an idea, but it's nuanced as a poem. Love is fickle. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's dull. Sometimes it's friendship, sometimes it's your family. But regardless, love is universal. Treasure it. Like, yeah. But who is gonna hear love is universal, treasure it, and not like already agree with you in some capacity? Who's challenged? Who feels so deeply seen by this poem that they burst into tears? It's not everyone because the net is cast too wide. Like, write a poem that makes this person cry, and write a poem that makes this person cry, and write a poem that makes this person cry, and write a poem that makes all these people cry, and write a poem that makes someone who loves their daughter and their son and their friends and their family all separately cry. But if you try to make everyone cry, no one's gonna cry. It's like, it's so hard. This is the difficulty of poetry. Thank you for the follow. Lobtobe. This is a deeply difficult thing about poetry. Is how do you speak to an audience? How do you speak your own ideas? How do you compel people? How do you change people? How do you make people cry? How do you make people laugh? And it's really hard. And it does come back to nuance. But the tricky thing is it's so many, like, layers of nuance. Like, we talked about it being not a clear thing definitionally, because a nuanced idea is probably not a nuanced poem, and a nuanced poem is not in any way a nuanced idea. So maybe if you maybe you want to speak to both forms of nuance, and your method is, how do I say something universal and say it in the least universal way? That's probably poetry. That's probably a nuanced poem. Say something universal, parenthesis, nuanced, in the least universal, parentheses, nuanced way. Like, that's messed up. Poetry's hard. So actually, you just got a call from your transfer, and as soon as you can sign in the U.S., kind of shook you. People move places. Sorry, not appropriate for here. I mean, yeah, but we're like doing poem, I guess. It depends. Sometimes I'm prone to tangents, sometimes I'm not. This is a real third analysis of the day analysis. I didn't even look at your poem. I feel like I was mean. I'm not done yet. I'm running an ad, and then I'm coming back. That's fine. Very helpful. Okay. I'll run in. I'll be back shortly. I go to the bathroom, and then I'll come back. Y'all do self-care or something. Welcome back. I'm Ginny, the poet of Twitch, 2/3 Lotus, Bukowski's #1 simp. We're reading yet another love poem by Mae7ari. Welcome back. Here it is again. Love is fickle. Sometimes the word is too dull, not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything. And that's when you know you were never in love. That's a good line. Other times love is bright like a firecracker, and time ends up passing by a blur. And you end up with a partner rather than an acquaintance. I guess this dance is for us, says one in particular. And yet other times it's quiet but meaningful, a relation of peace and quiet yet blissful. It's not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. It's merely a companionship that will test time. But who is to say these are the only types of love? You could love your daughter or son. You could be loved by friends, family, even strangers. And even if you're not loved by many, it's all right with you. Love is fickle. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's dull, sometimes it's friendship, sometimes it's your family. But regardless, love is universal. Treasure it. Yeah, like it's a poem I agree with, and like that's an issue. Yeah. Mae7ari. So you said in your questions on the forum, it's a pretty universal poem, but I'd like for you to look for nuance in the work. So yeah, I think the nuance in the work. I mean, the nuance is in the work. The nuance is in the ideas. The nuance is absolutely correct. That love is all these things. Love is absolutely nuanced in this way. You are correct. You are deeply and fundamentally correct in this poem. Cool. However, because of that, the poem just says things that are true. And to me, this is no different than saying, the wall is blue, the jacket is gray, the shirt is brown, love is fickle. Sometimes it's a firecracker, sometimes it's this. The observations may be true, they may be astute, they may be incredibly intelligent, as it is intelligent to realize these things about love. But they're not exciting. And so we actually have two ways, I think, to approach getting excitement into a statement. One is to say something not entirely true, as if it is. This is saying love is, and only ever will be a firecracker. Love is walking into a bar, getting wasted, finding someone, falling in love in an evening, having good sex, and never seeing them again. Love is walking down the street, locking eyes and never forgetting that moment. Love is I don't even know. Love is whatever. Like, baby, don't hurt me no more. Like, that's love. You can say that. That's a way to do a poem. What I said kind of sounded poetic. Or I can say, love is still. Love is a bed that remains every day unchanging, unflinching, like your face. No matter what I face today, I look into your eyes and see that to you I have not changed. Stillness, firecracker, these are different. Or I kind of already automatically did this. I was trying not to. You can say something sort of platitudinous, platitudes, truthisms, and you can say them in a very beautiful way. What I said before, the wall is blue, the jacket is gray, the shirt is brown. I can make this more beautiful, absolutely. That wall against which my head may rest, laid out with a shade, just so slightly bluer and grayer than a winter sky. And that sweater, a steely gray, as if it is absorbing all of the cold of the day, keeping it from touching me. Like, these are slightly better ways to say that the jacket is gray and the wall is blue. And and if you do it well enough, you can say the wall is blue, the jacket is gray in very fancy words. And this will be effective. So no, love is not fickle. Love is the light turning yellow and not knowing if I should hit the accelerator or the brake. There's a song about that. It's like, should I stay or should I go? Sometimes the word is dull. You know? A cracked wall, slightly grubbier than an eggshell. A jacket the color of static. And shoes that shade of green that nature abhors. Oh, yeah. Oh, green that nature abhors. Like it's green, but it's not natural. Color of static. Yeah, this artificial feeling of these objects. Like that. But what did Stylish Fail say? The wall is like off-white. The jacket is grayish. And the shoes are green. Like, these are useless ideas. Fundamentally, they're uninspiring. But we make them inspiring through poetry. And so like, love is bright like a firecracker. I mean, one way to like sort of cheat at this as well, it's not cheating. So Stylish Fail could have said a cracked wall, a wall that is cracked. Its color is like an eggshell, but slightly grubbier. But Stylish Fail did not write that. Stylish Fail write a cracked wall, slightly grubbier than eggshell. Looking at the line, other times love is bright like a firecracker. There are a lot of like extraneous words here, which actually take away nuance from our poem. Even if we just say love is a firecracker, we can say other times love is a firecracker. This communicates the same amount of information, but also like is more powerful. The sky was the color of a TV to a dead channel, tuned to a dead channel. Yeah. But the sky wasn't gray in a way that reminded me of my TV when it's tuned to a dead channel. Like the sky is that, or was that. So you could say love is a bright firecracker. Yet other times it's quiet and meaningful. Yet other times it's the desert undisturbed, 200 miles from another soul, with only the wind and the crunching footsteps behind me to keep me company. That's quiet. That's way more quiet than the word quiet. That's the funny thing. We can say quiet or we can show quiet. This is sort of what I was thinking. Poetry really loves when you do not tell people what to feel. You just show them and force upon them feeling. There's a confidence that one must have to not say, you know, love is universal, treasure it, but to show a scene that makes a person treasure love before they even realize that you were trying to get them to do that. Like, some of it's like holding your cards close. Coming across this channel gave me some motivation to write something, so I hope something will come to me. It comes, but you have to let it. You have to sometimes try to get it to come up. You know, who is to say these are the only types of love? You could love your daughter or son. These lines. And those other poets speak of their lovers and their wives and their whores. But what about that beautiful girl? Reaching out of her crib, wanting a poem to speak of her. What about the friend, their shoulder holding me shit-faced at the bar, keeping me safe from the leering faces? Whatever. Like, you can say friend or you can show friendship. You can say daughter or you can show daughter. You can say treasure, you can show treasure. So if you want to say love can be all these things, don't just say that they can, like, be the words that describe them. Show scenes, show beauty, show bim bim bim, energy, juice in every line. Make it move to the next one. But like, or tell me so convincingly that love is like a firecracker that I will never be able to think otherwise. This is the goal of the poet, unfortunately. The trick to writing is to write. If you write it, it will come. Yes. My experience is you can't force it. Well, you kind of can, but you can't force. Well, I don't know. It's hard. It's like a garden. You can water it, and you can give it fertilizer, and you can cut off the parts that aren't helpful and kind of make the whole plant worse. But at the end of the day, the fruit only comes when the plant grows it. That's writing. You can't just wait your way into Royal Albert Hall. True enough. You can't wait your ways to the halls of Valhalla. You need to, like, die in glorious battle, Pilsner Grip, if you want to go to Valhalla. Mae7ari, I got an idea mid-discussion for a new poem. Good. Yes, exactly. Yes, this is what I want. Yes. What's the idea? I mean, you have to tell me now. Like, I'm invested. What's the idea? Let's talk about it. Let's cook. I'm not gonna steal it. Not that ideas can be stolen. Like, who owns an idea? But I want to hear. You will? You'll steal a Sashvel? And the funny thing is that you'll steal it twice, and you will end up with entirely different poems. I would retort, but it would be too dark. Is that referring to the Valhalla remark? I think I understand. It's based on the two sayings about the firecracker relationship and the quieter, more subtle approach. Perfect. Tension. Dichotomous ideas. Spice. Yeah. But what about it? How does it explain these things? Pull me into this tension. What is it gonna do? Yeah, the so what question. I'm putting you on the spot, I know, but like I'm doing it because if you can say it, if you can you'll figure that out shortly. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's a good start. But like being like, okay, this is the tension. This firecracker against this bliss, and we're gonna explore, you know, the love, the love that is fire and the love that is laying in a bed quietly reading next to each other. Like, that's, yeah, awesome. And it still does like function like this poem of this love against this one. There are different definitions of it, but it shows me something so much more exciting. You will? Ha, good. I'm deeply happy that, like, I felt like I was being really, really critical of this poem, and I'm like, I hope this person doesn't hate me now, because, like, there are good things, there are good ideas, there's nuanced idea, and then it's like, how can we turn this into something that'll make the world cry. Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, comments for Mae7ari on this poem? Yet another love poem? Questions from Mae? Questions for Mae? Comments for Mae? Comments from Mae? Comments? Questions? Comments? Questions? Good. Good is good. Yes, it is good. That Mae will submit it, and it is good. You like it muy bien. Awesome. I dig it too. Like, there's stuff happening. Also, hi, Tiny Nuggy. There's exciting things happening. There's good ideas. Great ideas. And it sounds like you have ideas, so it's like awesome. Okay. That being said, I think I'm gonna read this one more time, and then that'll be the end of this stream. Well, oh, I wrote it based on my own experiences, TBH. I also didn't revise it or anything. I just wrote it and didn't mess with it at all. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to do it. Like, I love getting non-revised. Like, here's a I wrote it and sent it. That's what High Caliber does, and that's what sometimes Drowning Devil does. Stylish Fail. That's what I usually do. But revision is good as well, and that's an entire skill in itself that we've talked about one or two times. But I have So many ideas I want to teach. I'm excited. I'm clearly happy to be streaming again. I love doing this. I'm going to read this again. Yet another love poem by Mae7ari. Love is fickle. Sometimes the word is too dull. Not suitable for the occasion, not worth much of anything. And that's when you know you were never in love. Other times, love is bright, like a firecracker. The time ends up passing by a blur, and you end up with a partner rather than an acquaintance. I guess this dance is for us, says one in particular. And yet other times, it is quiet, but meaningful. A relation of peace and quiet, yet blissful. It's not a matter of sparks or extraordinary Disney magic. It's merely a companionship that will test time. But who is to say these are the only types of love? You could love your daughter or son. You could be loved by friends, family, even strangers. And even if you're not beloved by many, it's all right with you. Love is fickle. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes dull. Sometimes it's friendship. Sometimes it's your family. But regardless, love is universal. Treasure it. Yet another love poem by Mae7ari. Thank you for submitting. Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you for watching. I encourage you to check out the rest of the series, follow if you enjoyed, and stop by Twitch if you want to share your own work. See you there.